Welcome back to my channel. My name is Bloodstained Wings, and today I thought we would do something a little bit different. Ta-da! This is an oil painting over top of a paint pour painting done in acrylics, and it does take 2 painting sessions to do this, so you'll see a cut in the middle, but if you have all the stuff available, I will leave a note in the description of all the things you'll need to be able to do this painting with us. And let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so as you saw from the opening, we're going to be doing something that is a little bit different. As per usual, we are going to be doing a paint pour, and then we're going to paint over the paint pour. So I thought I would start with the paint pour portion of it. Now I'm going to be using a mixture of Elmer's craft glue or school glue, like so, and water. Now I use about 80% school glue to 20% water. It sounds like this. I know this is going to be weird, but go by sound. It works better that way. I don't know why. That's the sound you're looking for. You guys can keep that forever in your minds. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mix 4 colors. And generally I do 4 colors because I like the way 4 colors look. But I'll have approximately twice as much white as I will the other colors. And I will be using Artist Loft paint. It's just from Michaels. It's just acrylic paint. I'm just using a little dollop of each color. And I'm going to be using white, as I said and showed, and then I'm also going to be using brown, and then I'm going to be using a mixture of white and teal, and then with that I'm also going to mix a purple. Now purple I have to mix because I'm not going to buy a purple, I'm too lazy for that, but for purple what you want to do is have approximately 4 times as much red or pink as you do blue. You want to be very, very delicate with the blue because the blue will take over very quickly. Just so you know, like very quickly. So you want to just be very, very delicate with the amount of blue that you are adding. A lot of people I've seen use popsicle sticks to stir with. Couldn't find popsicle sticks, but I did find these spiky doos, and they work great. I don't know what their actual term is, like kebab sticks, but like short ones. I got them in a pack of like 2 giant packs that were that size that I showed for $1, so it was very much worth it for me to do that. The other thing that you're going to need other than acrylic paint, water, and Elmer's glue is WD-40. And you're going to spray 1 little spritz in each one of the cups after you have nicely stirred them all so that they all have a consistent color profile. And you want to make sure that you stir the heck out of them. Good sounds for you. You're welcome. I'd also like to let you know that some acrylic colors have a tendency to dry different colors than what you put them on with. Particularly in the Artist Loft that I have found, the yellow and the pink or magenta, it just dries a different color than it comes out. They both come out much more intense and dry much more muted, and like the yellow dries like darker, so I just want to let you guys know that in case you are buying these colors and they are not turning the way you want, potentially that is why. So right now we have the brown and the white, and I'm just still mixing up the green. Got a nice minty green color, and then now I'm hoping that this purple is the right color. Now these cups are not clean. I have used them previously to do many things like this in the past, and that's okay. You can see I'm roughly keeping the same colors in each cup. And I just reuse, I rinse the cups out and then reuse them. Or sometimes I just let the paint harden and then peel it out, because you can also do that because it's glue. That worked out beautifully with the purple. So there's the purple that we got. So these are the colors that I have. And now what I'm going to do is take my WD-40 and I'm just going to spritz 1 per cup. There we go. And I'm going to gently stir that, not a lot, just gently. Okay, and now I thought it might be fun to do a pole painting. So I have some spare newspaper, it's just some newspaper, that I'm going to use to pull with. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour my colors down and then pull across. So I'm going to start with the brown, and I'm going to put a little bit of the brown right at the end. So there we go. I'm just going to use my little stick here to kind of spread it out a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to use teal color. Again, just spreading it out a little bit. Then I'm going to use the purple color. And see, I got quite a lovely purple that I'm pretty proud of. When you mix things, sometimes things don't always necessarily go exactly as planned, especially when mixing colors. I'm going to go back to the green color here, using up the last little bit that I mixed. Help it pour out faster. There we go. All right, and then using up the last of the brown. And this doesn't have to perfectly cover everything because we are going to be pulling paint across it. So it's okay if it's not super the most coverage. There we go. And then now I get to do the white, which I've actually added a small amount of metallic to. So that should be a fairly interesting color for the over top, given like a textural variance. So I'm just gonna dab all of the newspaper into the paint and just very gently try to horizontally drag in a very gentle manner. Very gentle. Kind of like with the palette knife. Very gentle. There we go. And now I can lift it up and tilt it all the kind of ways to make sure that we have coverage on everything. I'm going to tilt it this way first, and then I'm going to tilt it the other way. Just to make sure that one side is covered. There we go. And there you have it. Now I'm going to set that over to dry, and then we will paint over it when we're back. All right, so we have given this painting 24 hours to dry. So it is now fully dry and I can fully touch it. And now we can do the wet on wet technique Bob Ross style. And I thought I would, since the background is very colorful with this beautiful teal color and this pastel purple, I thought we would keep it pretty sepia tone, however you want to say that. I tend to jump between both of them because, you know, reasons. So as we do all the time, we're going to cover the entire canvas in Neomeglip, or the goop, as I like to call it. If ever I don't show it, it's goop. It's the same thing. It's always goop. I will always call it goop. It is goop. It is the goop. The goop. So I'm going for like a reddish sepia tone overall in this entire painting, in terms of what I'm doing. So this, first of all, is just a clear coat. And I'm just trying to make sure it is nice and even. So now everything is nice and slick and wet, and that's what we want. So I'll show you guys my palette so you guys know what I have on my palette. I have here my titanium white, and then I have burnt umber and alizarin crimson. And I'm going to mix these two piles together so they are just a mixture of the two of them. You can see proportionally I have maybe not quite half, maybe like 3/4 the amount of alizarin crimson as I do the burnt umber. And that's just because I still want it to be brown. But I will mix those two together and have a lovely color in just a moment. Now I'm just mixing this on my palette, and I just took both of the piles of paint that I have using my palette knife, and I mixed them pretty thoroughly there. And you can see on the sides here, it's a reddish brown, and that's what I'm looking for. It's just a nice reddish brown. So I thought that would offset everything really nicely and just give a nice hue to everything. So that's what I'm gonna do. Now this color, because I used burnt umber and because I used alizarin crimson, is going to be a fairly transparent color. And that's what I'm looking for, because the only opaque color that I'm going to be using is going to be the titanium white. So now I'm just going to apply this to the entirety of the canvas. And yes, it's going to be a little streaky right now, but that's okay. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different brush to actually blend this all out a little bit more, just because that brush is not very good for blending. Oh, I hit the camera. There we go. And that gives just a sepia kind of tone to all of the white that's on here. Could I have potentially done this without a white and saved myself this trouble? Yeah, potentially. But I like that it also gives this kind of hue to the green and the purple. Just kind of mixes it up a little bit. Not a whole heck of a lot. It's still very, very soft. So now, using the same dirty brush, which is fine, I'm going to go into my titanium white. And I'm going to add like a brightness to over here. Now, I have an idea in my head of what I'm going to be doing. I think that this actually looks like a nice reflected lake. So the top and the bottom kind of have these two things coming out there that kind of look reflected. And then this part here kind of looks like a mountain that's kind of reflected down here. So that's the idea, that there's going to be a water line somewhere along here. And then there's going to be a mountain and some forest and maybe a big tree. That's what I got so far. The rest of what happens, happens. So I'm going to add a little bright spot right here on this side of this mountain. And that's going to help to blend out the mountain anyways, but that's good. And that makes it look more like a little sky is happening. And of course we need to make sure that's reflected. So we're just going to kind of do it all the way around. Now this is, I'm trying to thin it out so it's not super opaque, but titanium white is much, much, much more opaque than the other color that we laid down before. because those colors were more transparent colors and this is more of an opaque color. So you can see that that covers up a lot of the paint pouring that we did, but we still have all of this paint pouring and this down here, so, and this over here in the corner. It's fine. Actually, I don't like what's in the corner there, so I'm gonna just go ahead and put more over there. And that's how easy it is to change all of this. You can just add whatever you want to change the flavor. Remember that if you're doing this, you work with your painting the way that the paint pour came out for you, and just kind of roll with whatever happens. So there, I like the idea that there's kind of like a sun behind this mountain kind of thing. Or maybe it's just highlighting it, don't know, but that's what I'm going for. So now I'm gonna take a little roll of paint on the end of my knife here, and oh no, you know what, before we do that, I'm gonna paint some clouds. Because you know what every sky needs? Some happy little clouds. So let's paint some clouds. Let's get some like way up here. And again, just to paint clouds, you're just going to do tiny little circles with your fan brush, blend out the bottom until it basically disappears. That's what we're looking for when we do this. Just that the bottom just kind of whispers away into the sky. And then just gently fluff up the top. There. Now we got a happy little cloud. Now, if you don't want to do an oil painting over top of your paint pour, feel free to not do that. I particularly like the way paint pours look as backgrounds for paintings. I find it gives a painting a lot of whimsy and diversity. And I think it's like really fun and interesting, as opposed to just having like a painted sky. You have this like crazy ornate paint pour sky, which I think is really cool, but not everybody does. I'm gonna go ahead and put a big cloud like that right there. There we go. There we go. For those of you who want to know what kind of paint I am using Winsor & Newton and also Gamblin. The white paint I'm using is a Winsor & Newton, and the other ones are Gamblin. It just depends on what I have access to at the time. But generally those brands are very good brands to go to. I am not sponsored by them yet. Maybe I will be. But as of right now, not sponsored. And that's okay. So before I get too carried away with all those clouds, let's put that mountain in. Because I like the idea of this being a little more subtle. So I'm going to try not to add too many clouds. So let's add that mountain in, and I think this mountain kind of shaped like that. I just think it should have like this sharp side and then a like rounded side is what I'm going to try to do. There we go. That's what I'm going for, like a sharp side and then a rounded side. That's what I want. Okay, and now that I have the basic shape on the outside, I'm gonna take my, oh, I hit the freaking camera again. There you go. So now I'm gonna take a clean, dry brush, and I'm gonna, actually, you know what, I'm gonna use my dirty brush because I like it. So we're just gonna pull this out, following the shape of the mountain to try and get some of the excess paint off. And also, it adds the like distant mountainy type feels. So then we'll just pull it out on the other side. And there we go. So it's just removing some of the excess paint. I'm just gonna wipe that off on my paper towel on the side and just come back. I didn't want it to be too much color down there, and I noticed that there was a lot on my brush, so there we go. Again, noticing a lot on my brush, so I just knocked off some of the excess so I could pull away at it. So there we go. We have a nice brown mountain. And now I'm going to take some of that sepia color, not a whole heck of it, not a whole lot of it, but a little bit of it. And I'm going to mix it with some white, but not overly mixed. This is barely mixed. You can see there's a lot of variations in the color there. And that's good, we want that. So that's going to be our shadow color, which is going to be, thinking about our light. So if our light source is actually up here, which is what it looks like, that means the dark side of the mountain is this side, and this is the light side of the mountain. So I'm going to find a little spot to start and then pull gently down, following the lines of our mountain here. It's a little more white in it, or else it's not going to show. There we go. So you can see it's picking up a whole bunch of colors off of my palette knife, and that's great. That's what we want. So I am going to I'm going to use my palette knife, but not really clean all of it off. And I'm just going to go right into some white. And so there's a little bit of color still in it. Not a whole heck of a lot. And I'm going to highlight the other side. So this is the highlight side, where the other side was the shadows. There we go. So we have that nice highlight there. And actually, I'm just going to highlight this little side of this peak. There we go. Just sneak it right in there. So that there's a little bit of light trickling down, which I thought was fun. So that's what I think is fun. All right, so now that we have that, I'm going to take my brush here and I'm just going to try to make a little bit of mist following the angles of the mountain. So you can see this kind of goes like this, and then this kind of flattens out over here. And then this switches to this way. Just want to make sure that you switch to that one when you get over here. All right, and now I'm just going to gently, very gently, now I mean this when I say this, very gently lift upwards. We're barely touching the canvas at all, but that just removes some of the tapping lines, which is what we're looking for. Just barely touching it. There. So, now that we have a mountain, I smudged that part just a little bit too much, so I'm just going to grab a little bit of it and pull back down again. And that's fine. We'll just have that there be a little bit like that. And that's fine with me. So, now that we have a mountain, which I think looks pretty stellar, I am going to paint some trees. I think some distant trees would be a great idea. So, I'm going to grab some of the, I'm going to grab some of that mixed color that we had for the shadow color on the mountain, because that way it's got a little bit of variation in it, not a whole heck of a lot. I am going to thin it down a smidge, just a smidge, to make sure that it goes over top of this mountain. Okay, now I'm going to literally dab straight up and down. Okay, so just like this, but straight up and down onto the palette, onto the canvas, just up and down. And it's just going to leave these little foresty lines with my fan brush. Now it's going to be very subtle right here because it's the same color as that, but that's okay. And we're just going to continue it all the way over to the side here. There we go. That is our first line of forest. Do we want to have mist and then another line? Of course we do. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a little bit of the white on our big brush here. I still haven't cleaned this, by the way. All I've done is knocked off a little bit of excess. It's the most that I've done here. So I'm just tapping up and down to get the color on there. And you can see there's not very much on there. And I'm just gonna go across very gently, tapping the bottom. And if it's not showing up, there it is. It was on the other side, apparently. There we go. And as I need more, I will grab more. There we go. Nice little subtle mist going on. And if you just keep tapping it, it'll get softer and softer and softer. But that mist line will act as separation for the next line of trees that we're going to do, which I'm going to have subtly darker than those ones. So I have a little bit here that is mixed with the shadow color of the mountain, but also with just the pure color of the alizarin crimson mixed with the burnt umber. And do the same thing all the way across here, or maybe not all the way across, who knows. And I'm gonna just vary the height slightly because these are now closer to us and that's why they're darker. Actually, you know what? I might get real subtle and make these trees get smaller as I get over here, and then I can have a water line right there that just kind of mists out. I think that would be nice. So I'll have these trees a little bit bigger, a little more defined over here. There we go. And then that makes those ones look a little smaller. And then I'm going to tap out the bottom. And then just very, very gently, using the same dirty brush, I'm just going to tap and then pull down. And that's going to give us little reflections for our trees. You see? And now I'm just going to pull across very gently just to blur those lines a little bit. There. And now, using a little bit of the clear and the white mixed together. It's not pure white, again. I've contaminated my white line, but that's okay. And we're going to come in and we're just going to push down. And it's okay if we cut through everything. That's going to make it look real interesting. There we go. I'm just going to have that. Actually, let's have a forest on the other side. Let's have a forest on the other side. See, this is how we go. We're just going to have these forests come out to play. We'll have that match up with the center line that we have there. And it'll be like this is a peninsula that is coming over that side there. There we go. Go back in and fill some of these in. There we go. And then once again, we're going to do the same trick. We're just going to pull straight down. And then pull across very gently. There we go. And now we can have another water line. And we'll pull that in right about there. Oh, I hit a bump. That's okay. There we go. I'm just gonna paint away that little bump there. And there we go. Bump is gone. But you can already see it looks like a forest on a lake with a mountain. Looking pretty good, actually. I like it. I think we need a big old tree, because of course we do. So let us start with a palette knife. And we're gonna go right into that mixture, that dark mixture. We're not, there's no subtleties in this, none whatsoever. So I'm gonna come in, and I'm gonna start right here. We're gonna paint a big old tree right there. It's happening. It's happening. If you're painting along, this is your bravery test. Are you willing to ruin the beautiful painting that you have right now? Woo! There we go. Just tapping gently to let the canvas pull off the paint that it wants off of the palette knife. There we go. And you know what? That was so much fun. Let's do another. He needs a friend. You know, like everybody's got a friend. Everybody's got that friend that has a bad idea. You know, maybe this is that friend. This guy was like, you know what? Let's buy waterfront property out on a godforsaken lake out in the middle of nowhere. And this guy was like, I mean, okay. Sometimes it's fun to make up little stories about your trees. It just is. So feel free to do so for yourself. You can even give them names. I have given my trees names in the past. If you want to know, on my Instagram, a very long time ago, there was a painting of a tree that I decided to call Eduardo. And it is so magnificent, so amazing, so deserving of the name Eduardo. And anybody named Eduardo, you're welcome. That's what I think of you. So I'm just gonna add some branches in here. Whee! And to do that, we just thin down our paint with a little bit of the goop, going back into that dark color on our liner brush. And we're just gonna go ahead and make some wiggly lines. And the more wiggly the lines are, the better. Believe it or not, you can just have all the wiggly lines that you want, and everybody likes those wiggly lines. So feel free to have a nervous hand. That's fine. Go ahead. Do it. have a little branch coming off of this guy. Right over top of that guy. He was just like, yeah, and my branch went over your face. See? Funny little stories. It helps. It helps to give your trees little stories like that. And there we go. Now you can take your time and add as many branches as you would like. Obviously, both these trees need branches, so we gotta do them both. I can't just spend all our time on the first one. The crazy ideas guy. Love him, but his friend needs some branches too. But feel free to take your time and add as many branches as you see fit on this guy right here and that guy over there. Or as many trees as you put in your world. That's good. Keep them wiggly. Keep them good. Keep them wiggly. What do you say we add some leaves to these guys? Even though we just put those lovely branches on, I think it needs some leaves. So I'm actually going to grab a fluffy brush and I'm going to go right into that dark color, pulling down in one direction and then flipping it over. And I'm just going to add like a little bit of leaves on this guy right here. There he is. I know, we spent all that time making all those wiggly branches just to paint over it, but that's how it goes sometimes. If you like some of the branches, though, you can feel free. Like, I really like that one, so I'm going to leave it as if it was dead. And every tree's got a little bit of dead branches, so you can feel free to leave some of them in there. Being a little bit dead, that's okay. All right, now I think all of a sudden right now that these are birches. So I'm going to take a little bit of the white. It is mixed with a little bit of other color, keeping in mind our light source is over here, so we want to highlight on this side. And we're just going to pull and drag in a little circle very gently. Just a semicircle. Whoop. Just a little swoop. Just a little swoop of highlights. There we go. The bottom here is a little aggressive. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, and now let's have some bushes over here. I can't just have these floating trees. That is even weird for this weird land here. So let's add some bushes. These are in. There we go. Bushes. And maybe we'll have some bushes on the other side. I've got paint. Let's do it. Bushes. See, that's why I have this tape. Otherwise, I would have just painted my desk and been very upset about it. All right. And now, using a different fluffy brush, I'm going to go into the white color and I'm going to thin this down. This is important. You got to thin it down or else it won't stick. And you'll be very mad at me. You'll be like, oh, but BSW, you didn't tell me. Yes, I did. Thin it down with your goop. And then again, you make sure you pull it down in one direction and then flip that direction over so you can see this side looks much different than this side. So this is the way I was pulling it down. And then this is the side that I want up. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to highlight these bushes. Just a little bit. Keeping in mind the shapes the bushes make and making sure to leave some of the darkness there. We want that darkness. That's important. Doesn't sound like it's important, but it is. Because that's where all the creatures are hiding, and you want to make sure they have a place to hide. They can't all be out in the daylight. There we go. There we go. And now, using my palette knife, I'm just going to scratch in some little lines in those dark areas that I left. And that's going to make it look like little sticks and twigs. That make up the bushes. There we go. And there you have a lovely painting. And that was done on the pour painting. And next week, I will show you a different way of doing a paint pour technique. And I'm going to be showing you a dirty pour, and then I'm going to show you another painting on top of a dirty pour. All right. I hope you enjoyed that painting. For more close-up pictures of what it looks like, please feel free to look at my Instagram or in my shop. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed this painting. If you go down into the description, you will see a link to my Linktree, in which you can see my Etsy, my Instagram, Patreon, all those kind of things. And I just want to give a special thank you to all my Patreon. Their names are scrolling by here, and all these people are making this possible, and I really, really appreciate everyone who joins my Patreon. Please feel free to do so if you would like to. And remember, you are loved, and you deserve to be loved. See you next week. Mwah.